You're probably thinking this is clickbait or something. It's not. So now you're probably thinking she's in jail. But she isn't. I live with her actually. Her and my uncle and my 2 cousins. I really wish I didn't. See, 3 years ago my mom died unexpectedly. It wasn't completely ridiculous. My parents were elderly, and my mom had Alzheimer's, and was pretty far down the progression. But the doctors said she was expected to live for quite a while longer. The whole family had met up at my house one night on my mom's birthday. She couldn't go anywhere, so they came to her. We helped her eat ice cream and cheesecake, and we sang her favorite songs. Well, she tried to sing along. She was doing better than she had ever been before. She was sitting up and talking as well as she could. The next day, she was dead. There was no warning, no sign. She just died in her sleep, and the doctors didn't know why. Most of the family came back again for her funeral that same week. My mom always said when she was younger that she wanted her funeral to be a celebration of her life and not a mourning of her death. So we had a potluck banquet. Very soon afterwards, 3 of my cousins died. They lived in different states, but they all died on the same night, all in their sleep. Since my family had a history of sudden heart failure, it was chalked up to that. But I didn't buy it. We held their funerals separately. I went to all 3, but my aunt could only make it to one. Coincidentally, someone else who attended that funeral died. It was one of my other aunts from a different state. I was beginning to notice a pattern. It was a pattern. I only saw it because of my ADHD. I will pick up on and latch onto very specific memories and details, one of which was the dish my aunt brought to both funerals. She made a macaroni bake, the kind she always made, but most people didn't eat the dish she brought because there were lots of different delicious foods you didn't get often. The 3 cousins who died the first time were very lucky eaters and only liked certain foods, mainly cheese and pasta. I also recall the aunt that had died saying she felt ill beforehand and would probably not be eating much. Macaroni was probably the easiest on the stomach that was there. I never said anything because of my tendency to overthink and make connections that didn't even exist. Then my house got broken into. It was 5 or so weeks after the 5th death in my family. I had been feeling very depressed lately, and I wasn't sleeping well. So even though it was 4 in the morning, I was awake. I heard the glass shatter in my dad's bedroom and I froze up. I wasn't completely sure that I'd heard what I thought I did. Maybe my dad had left the TV on. Maybe it was a background sound in my music I just hadn't noticed before. I was playing it pretty loudly from my own TV. I wanted to turn off my music, but it was like I was paralyzed. I could hardly breathe as I strained to listen past the rapid percussion and intense riffs from the metal band I had up. I had gotten like this before. It wasn't uncommon for me to freeze up when afraid, but I never knew how to handle it. I was lying in bed already. The blanket was mostly covering my face, and for once, it didn't make me feel safer. The door handle started to turn, and I closed my eyes and pretended I was sleeping. The music switched off, and I heard footsteps approaching. I thought for sure I was going to die, but I tried to tell myself that I didn't hear glass break and that my dad was just turning off my music before it woke him up. The smell of my aunt's perfume hit me full force when the footsteps stopped near my bed. I didn't make a sound and forced myself to keep breathing evenly. Eventually, the footsteps retreated. It was a while before I had the courage to move. Even longer before I could sneak out into the living room, where I had left my phone. I called 911 and told them that someone had broken into the house. I only went to check on my dad when I knew the police were on their way. I wish I hadn't gone in the room. There was blood all over my dad's neck and chest. I froze up again for a bit before I collapsed and cried. I didn't stop crying until the police showed up. After they calmed me down, I told them everything I remembered. Everything I just told you. I told them it was my aunt, and they promised to look into it. There was no evidence she had left her house. She lived 2 hours away. I tried to tell them she could have been back in time for her husband and kids to wake up, but they didn't seem to think much of it. They told me it was normal for kids to imagine things in situations like this. But I know what really happened. Apparently, both my mom and dad had written in their wills that I would be going to live with my aunt and uncle if anything bad happened to them. So that's where I went. I wanted to believe she didn't do it, but recently, I found something. I was looking for Tylenol for my headache. I seem to be getting a lot of those since my mother died. Depression, the doctor said. I found an unlabeled bottle, and I, curious like I always was, opened it. There was some powder, something or other inside, and I decided to smell it. I remember it smelled like almonds. I asked my aunt about what was in the bottle, and she said not to worry about it. I shrugged it off, and thanks to my short attention span, I was watching BuzzFeed Unsolved Moments later. I just so happened to be in the Tylenol Murders episode, in which I was told that the highly deadly poison arsenic smelled like bitter almonds. My blood turned cold before I realized why I should be afraid. I went back into the bathroom to look around for the bottle, but it was gone. We took a trip to the dump that day, which was odd because we didn't have anything big to throw away. We apparently couldn't wait until garbage day. That was a few days ago, and I'm terrified. It's harder to sleep now than ever before. I keep hearing people walking around and expecting my aunt to open the door of my room at 4 a.m. I'm not doing well in school anymore. She knows something's up, and I'm posting this on hopes that if I die, someone will see this and know what happened to me. I'm not going to confront her or call the police again. I'm not a hero. I'm a scared kid who doesn't want to die. Someone needs to stop her, but that someone won't be me.